The silence was the first thing to break. It was October 3rd, the first night of Navratri in Amethi, Uttar Pradesh. The air should have been thick with the sounds of devotional music, the joyful clamor of the festival, and the comforting drone of a city celebrating faith. Instead, a chilling sound ripped through the festive atmosphere. A relentless, sharp staccato of gunfire. A medical store owner, Ramnarayan Yadav, froze, the cheerful chaos of the deity pandal just 100 meters away suddenly meaningless. He knew that sound. And it was coming from the house of the kind, reserved teacher, Sunil Kumar Gautam. In the few minutes it took for the police to enter the building, a seemingly perfect life, a wife, 2 young daughters, and a respected job, had been wiped out in a massacre so cold it would shake the entire region to its core. This is not just a story of a quadruple murder, it is a chilling chronicle of how a man's simple, honest life was systematically destroyed by a hidden obsession, the breaking of sacred trust, and the deadly consequences of forbidden desire. The scene that greeted the police, 4 bodies sprawled in a horrific tableau of violence, instantly revealed the sheer depravity of the crime. Teacher Sunil Kumar, 34, and his wife Poonam, 30, lay near the tap, their bodies riddled with bullets. Nearby, the 2 innocent casualties of an adult tragedy, 5-year-old Srishti and 2-year-old Samiksha, lay motionless near the stairs. The entire house, once a sanctuary for a striving young family, was a testament to unimaginable horror. The prompt response from top officials, including the DM and various ASPS, underscored the gravity of this attack on a Dalit family, turning a local tragedy into a political and social crisis. The search for answers began immediately, but the crucial evidence, 9 spent shells, a live cartridge, and a parked motorcycle, suggested a calculated and deeply personal attack. When Sunil's heartbroken father, Ram Gopal Gautam, arrived, his grief was quickly overshadowed by a shocking accusation. He didn't point toward an unknown robber or rival. He named a friend of the family, Chandan Verma, a mechanical engineer from Raebareli. This revelation immediately shifted the focus of the investigation from a random criminal act to a tangled web of personal conflict and rage. Who was this friend, and what dark history could drive him to such an irreversible act of violence against an entire family? The urgency was palpable. The police immediately formed 4 STF teams to hunt down the accused while the bodies were sent for autopsy, revealing the brutal precision of the killing. Sunil had been shot 3 times, Poonam twice, and both girls once. The narrative of a dedicated family man's life was now being violently rewritten by the actions of a trusted associate. To truly understand the catastrophe, one must trace the modest origins of Sunil Kumar Gautam. His family, hailing from Sudamapur, Raebareli, were impoverished, relying on Ram Gopal's labor and a single bigha of unproductive land. While his elder brother Sonu struggled with academics and left for manual labor in Mumbai, Sunil was the family's hope, dedicated to his studies while working to support the family. Education was his escape route, his commitment to a better future. Having earned his BA, he was single-mindedly focused on securing a respectable government job. This ambition eventually led him to Poonam Bharati, an educated and beautiful young woman, whom he married in 2016. Their partnership was the embodiment of the Indian dream, a union built on aspiration and the promise of upward mobility. Sunil's disciplined efforts soon paid off. In 2018, he secured a position as a police constable. This achievement was quickly followed by the birth of their first daughter, Srishti. The family was finally experiencing stability and joy. However, the tough life of a constable did not sit well with the educated Sunil. He missed his family and he disliked the departmental environment. Driven by his passion for education, he pursued his B.Ed and qualified for the teaching examination. By December 2020, he had resigned from the police force and secured a coveted position as a teacher in the basic education department in Raebareli. This career shift was intended to provide him with the time, respect, and peace his family deserved. The new job necessitated a move. The daily commute from his village 35 kilometers away was unsustainable, leading Sunil to rent a two-room house in the Matia area of Raebareli for Poonam and Srishti. This urban transition marked a significant change in Poonam's life. Shedding the constraints of village life, she embraced the freedom of the city. She began to dress stylishly, visit markets, and enjoy outings to restaurants with Sunil and Srishti. Sunil, blinded by affection and perhaps a desire to please his wife, indulged her every request, eventually allowing her to wield undue influence over him. It was in this new, relatively permissive environment that the serpent entered their Eden. Living in the rear portion of their rented house was Chandan Verma, a 25-year-old mechanical engineer working on medical equipment. The close proximity as tenants quickly led to an acquaintance which blossomed into a friendly relationship with Sunil. Chandan, however, was immediately captivated by Poonam's beauty. Driven by a predatory interest, he began manufacturing reasons to visit their home, using his friendship with Sunil as a key to access Poonam. He would shower the young daughter Srishti with toys and affection, using the guise of innocent play to get closer to Poonam. This seemingly benign interaction masked a rapidly escalating sinister attraction. Chandan's flattery was relentless. He would praise Poonam's beauty and charm, using sweet words to influence her. Poonam, perhaps flattered by the attention or bored by the routine, initially feigned annoyance but often dismissed his advances with a laugh. The line between harmless banter and dangerous flirtation was blurring rapidly. Poonam's receptiveness, even if subconscious, encouraged Chandan's advances, setting the stage for a tragic break in trust. He meticulously waited for the moments when Sunil was away at work, ensuring his visits were covert and opportune. The inevitable collision of desire and opportunity occurred on a day when Poonam was dressed to go to the market. Seeing her ready for an outing, Chandan lost all restraint. He embraced her suddenly, pouring out his confession of love and desperation. Poonam offered a weak protest, fearing Sunil's return, but her resistance quickly faded. Chandan's declaration that he would not leave without her love shattered the last boundary of their morality. And that day, the line of respect and commitment was irrevocably crossed. The brief moment of regret Poonam felt was instantly overpowered by the continuation of the illicit relationship. The two were now bound by a secret shattering the foundations of Sunil's family life. The affair became a dangerous game of hidden meetings, played out with extreme caution under Sunil's roof. The trust Sunil placed in his wife and his friend was being systematically betrayed. But secrets in a closed environment never last forever. One day, Sunil's worst fears were confirmed when he discovered revealing WhatsApp chats on Poonam's phone, exposing the depth of the betrayal. He tried to reason with both of them, appealing to their sense of right and wrong. But Chandan was too far gone in his obsession to heed any warning. Realizing that his home was actively under threat, Sunil took the drastic and necessary step to save his marriage. He sought a transfer. The change was supposed to save them. By July 2024, Sunil Kumar had secured a transfer to Amethi, leaving Raebareli and the toxic presence of Chandan Verma behind. He believed distance was the cure, a fresh start in the rented house of Munna Awasthi. For a few months there was peace, a brief, fragile period of calm. But obsessive love does not respect boundaries. The friend who refused to let go was already tracking them. Soon Chandan was back, creeping into their lives, first through furtive, secret video calls that lasted for hours. A digital invasion that allowed him to laugh and speak with Poonam, reinforcing their destructive bond. Chandan was not just in love, He was lost in a delusion where Poonam was already his wife. He poured his income and even family jewelry into her lap, constantly urging her to leave Sunil and be with him. Poonam, however, still resisted the ultimate break, unwilling to abandon the stability of her family. A seemingly innocent legal transaction gave Chandan the final fatal access he needed. In April 2024, Sunil had bought a piece of land in Amethi, and Poonam surprisingly convinced Sunil to make Chandan the official witness on the documents. This move instantly legitimized Chandan's presence in Amethi and provided him a convenient excuse for frequent visits to their home. While Sunil deeply resented Chandan's constant presence, it was his wife who had handed the obsession a free pass. The friction finally erupted one evening when Sunil returned from school to find Chandan casually sitting in his living room, talking with Poonam. The teacher's internal rage boiled over, and after Chandan left, he sternly ordered Poonam to cut all ties with the man who was actively destroying their family. By this time, Sunil and Poonam had 2 daughters, Srishti, the 5-year-old, and the toddler Samiksha, who was barely 18 months old. Chandan, described by police sources as a dominating figure with criminal connections and a penchant for aggressive behavior and alcohol, began to use his power to terrorize the family. The manipulation escalated to emotional blackmail. Chandan began issuing chilling threats, ordering Poonam to leave Sunil and marry him. His leverage? Incriminating and objectionable photographs they had taken together. He threatened to viral the images, destroying their reputation and leaving them incapable of facing society. Both Sunil and Poonam were paralyzed by fear. Sunil urged her to file a police complaint, but Poonam lacked the courage to confront the ruthless and erratic engineer, fearing his unpredictable retaliation. She felt trapped between her enraged husband and her dangerous, obsessed lover. The breaking point arrived on August 18, 2024, during a trip to Raebareli's Sumitra Hospital for Srishti's checkup. On their return, Chandan intercepted them on the road. Publicly, brazenly, he began harassing Poonam, pressuring her to leave with him. When Sunil stepped in to protect his wife, Chandan erupted in violence. He hurled caste-based insults, slapped Sunil hard across the face multiple times, and threatened to kill them both. The humiliation was complete. Sunil's patience was finally exhausted. His dignity had been utterly shattered. Driven by a desperation to protect his family and his honor, Sunil rushed Poonam to the Sadar Kotwali police station. Though Poonam was still hesitant, she finally submitted a written complaint. The police quickly registered a case against Chandan Verma under sections of the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. The very next day, Chandan was arrested. The family finally breathed a sigh of relief, believing the nightmare was over, but within a week, Chandan secured bail. He was free, and worse, he was unrepentant. Initially, Chandan made a show of remorse. After a failed suicide attempt and a brief hospital stay, he begged Sunil and Poonam for forgiveness, promising to disappear from their lives. But it was a lie designed to lower their guard. Soon he was back to his old ways, desperately trying to contact Poonam. When Poonam consistently ignored his calls, his heartbreak curdled into explosive rage. He went for the jugular, sending the objectionable photos to Poonam's in-laws and her own family, including her mother and brother. He threatened her relatives, warning that if Poonam did not become his, the consequences would be dire. Chandan was now completely unhinged. He felt Poonam slipping away, and his shattered sense of entitlement led to a single terrible resolve. If he couldn't have her, no one would. He planned to wipe out the entire family. For a man consumed by an annihilating rage, Chandan Verma was disturbingly meticulous in his planning. The murder weapon, an illegal pistol, was secured swiftly, but ammunition proved difficult to obtain. It took him a painstaking 15 days of desperate searching and high-cost dealings with criminal contacts before he finally acquired a loaded 10-round magazine. The date he chose was chillingly symbolic. October 3rd, 2024, the first night of Navratri. A night of Hindu celebration was about to become a night of absolute terror. He arrived in Amethi by bike, parking it strategically 50 meters from the Awasthi house, telling the mobile shop owner he was going to the temple. His alibi was set, his plan was locked. He walked toward Poonam's room, pistol loaded, his heart a stone. Inside the house, Poonam, Sunil, and their 2 small daughters were together, unaware that their final moments were ticking down. When Chandan suddenly appeared, both Sunil and Poonam were instantly terrified, their previous fear now manifesting as immediate dread. In a horrific gesture of faux kindness, Chandan pulled out 2 10-rupee notes and gave one to 5-year-old Srishti and the other to 2-year-old Samiksha. This act of sickening pseudo-paternalism was a final, twisted insult before the storm. He looked directly at Poonam and delivered his final, desperate ultimatum. "Poonam, come with me. I cannot live without you anymore." Poonam, standing in front of her husband and children, refused him one last time. Her answer was firm and final. "I will not leave my husband and my children. You are disturbing me. Leave now, or I will call the police." This word, police, ignited the explosion of Chandan's bottled-up fury. He immediately pulled out the loaded pistol and fired twice into Poonam's chest. As Sunil rushed forward to defend his family, Chandan turned the gun on him, firing 3 more rounds. The parents collapsed, their lifeblood staining the floor. But Chandan's madness did not stop there. In a final act of merciless execution, he shot Srishti and Samiksha, eliminating all who stood in the way of his delusional desire. 4 lives were extinguished in a matter of seconds. The bloodbath was over, but Chandan's ultimate plan failed. He turned the pistol on himself, intending to commit suicide, but the weapon jammed. The spring broke, and the bullet did not fire. Panicked by the failed suicide and the sound of his own gunfire ringing in his ears, he fled the scene, leaving his bike behind, escaping through the back entrance. The relentless sound of gunshots heard by the medical store owner Ram Narayan had already set the legal and political mechanism into motion. The STF teams, operating with intense pressure from the Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath, utilized surveillance to track the fugitive. Chandan, having initially escaped toward Delhi, was finally captured at the Juar Toll Plaza in Noida at 2:45 p.m. the next day, October 4th, bringing a temporary end to the nationwide manhunt. The police revealed the full, shocking story of the affair, the blackmail, and the motive to the press that night. The following morning, during the recovery of the murder weapon, Chandan attempted a desperate final escape. In the Mohanbagh police area, he wrestled the revolver from the station house officer and fired. The police returned fire, hitting him in the leg, ending his attempt and leading to his hospitalization. This second crime solidified his ruthless character, adding another charge to the murder case. Meanwhile, the bodies of Sunil, Poonam, Srishti, and Samiksha were returned to their ancestral village of Sudamapur. The sight of the 4 coffins shattered the community, prompting mass weeping, outrage, and anti-police protests. The immense grief was met with high-profile political response. Local MPs and MLAs visited the family, offering condolences and arranging a meeting with the chief minister. At the meeting, Sunil's father, Ramgopal, asked the chief minister for financial aid, housing, and a government job for his elder son. All requests were granted, and in the following days, the family was provided with a significant financial package, a house under the CM's housing scheme, 5 bighas of agricultural land, and a job for the surviving brother. Justice, as far as the state could provide, was being served. On October 5th, After receiving medical treatment, Chandan Verma was presented before the district sessions judge's residence, a necessary deviation from the usual court appearance due to the sheer volatile public anger. He was then sent to the district jail. This horrifying true story of the Amethi quadruple murder serves as a stark warning, showing how easily self-interest, an unchecked illegal relationship, and reckless decisions can lead to the complete devastation of lives. It is a narrative of a simple man's struggle for a better life and the lethal intrusion of a predator whose obsession could not be outrun. The transfer, the police complaint, the bail, none of it was enough to stop the inevitable climax of Chandan Verma's rage. He sought to destroy Sunil's family to claim his wife, and in the end, he destroyed everyone, including himself, locking away 4 innocent souls forever. The final question for the audience. If Poonam had listened to Sunil and shown the courage to file a police report immediately after the first assault and blackmail threat, could this tragic massacre of a young family have been completely avoided? For a short period, Poonam complied with her husband's demand. She stopped answering Chandan's calls and refused his video calls, building a fragile wall of defense for her family. But Chandan's love had mutated into something terrifyingly possessive. He would show up at their home, threatening to shoot himself if she didn't talk to him. Cornered and terrified, Poonam would inevitably submit to his demands, allowing the cycle of manipulation and fear to continue.